Hey guys, this is going to be a quick ask guide for Shadow-Lord Iskar on Normal and Heroic. This is a two-phase repeating fight, and your success is based almost entirely on managing the Eye of Anzu, which is the glowing orb that sits at the back of the room as you enter. The eye must be picked up at the start of the fight, otherwise it will AoE your entire raid. Players will have to pass the eye around to each other to counter various abilities throughout the fight. You can do so by targeting a player and hitting the extra action button. But let's be real, most players are not going to be fast or efficient in doing so. Thankfully, there's add-ons you can download to manage this, so please check out Iskar Assist for this task along with Xorce's raid tools. You simply look for the debuff to appear next to or on top of someone's name and left-click them. Healers to dispel, you would right-click. I personally have set up my Voodoo to monitor the debuffs and use a mouse over macro to pass because I like to keep my screen clean, but would recommend for most to use either of these add-ons for speed and ease of use. So let's talk about abilities. The first two you'll see will be Fel Chakram and Fel Incineration. We have our positioning set up to aid in dealing with these abilities with range at the entrance, tanks on the left away from range, and melee on the right. If you're one of the three targets Fel Chakram goes on, a red glyph will appear above your head. Immediately run through the boss to the opposite side of where range is standing, and don't stand near the other two targets. People between the boss and a Fel Chakram target will get hit for unnecessary damage, so we use this positioning to aid in avoiding it. Fel Incineration is a garbage ability. I hate it. Basically, one of those two green beams will appear at either the left or right hand side of the room near where range is standing, track a little bit, and then it will fixate on someone. So you're bound to get fire where you don't want it, and it's awful. Your goal is just to see which side of the room it goes out on and then be prepared to run it over to that side. And as your spot in the center fills up with fire, you're just going to move forward to avoid the fire until it clears up, and then you can move back and start over. Phantasmal Lens is going to be the next ability that you see, and those targeted will be pushed off the edge and the ground will turn into like this wind animation. So basically, if you're targeted, just plan on quickly passing the eye from wind's target to wind's target to clear the debuff off yourselves. Phantasmal Wounds is an ability that goes out as well. We chose to not pass the eye for it. Basically, those targeted with wounds need to be healed up past 90% and the debuff goes away. If your healers are having trouble doing that part of the mechanic, you might consider passing the eye to those targets as well. The add phase brings additional abilities into play, with the Shadowfell Warden casting Fel Conduit, which needs to be interrupted, the Corrupted Priest putting out Phantasmal Obliteration, which puts a Fel Bomb out that needs to be dispelled, and the Raven putting out Phantasmal Corruption on the active tank of that mob. In this phase, simply keep passing the eye back from the tank that is tanking the Raven to a healer, preferably one with an interrupt. Basically, the tank holds the ball, Phantasmal Corruption goes out and is instantly taken off of them, and if Fel Conduit is coming out, they can interrupt. Otherwise, if Fel Bomb is coming out, it is passed to a healer who can dispel and then pass it back to the tank, or they can interrupt Fel Conduit themselves. Keep in mind, you can only interrupt if you're holding the eye, and you can only see who the dispel is on and dispel it if you're holding the eye. The last ability you have to deal with for this phase is Focus Blast, which comes from Shadow-Lord Iskar. You want to have the melee and range always in line with each other, because Focus Blast comes out in a line and it works like a meteor mechanic. People who are in that line together absorb the damage, and it is far less the more people that are in it. This is also the point of the fight where you're going to want to consider throwing out some cooldowns. And that is all for this boss. I hope you guys found this guide helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and good luck in Hellfire Citadel.